So thank you everyone for coming today. My name is Brandon Grant. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks. And today we're going to be talking about or continuing our Pain Point Webinar series about keeping your team in the loop. So I know that's a pretty big struggle for a lot of companies, especially during the sales process, especially if you have multiple steps in your sales process. So for those of you that are new to these pain point webinars, the kind of central idea behind these is to just dive into common business challenges that companies face when you have to create quotes and proposals and throughout the entire sales process. Really great thing about these webinars, we understand your time is valuable, so we try to keep these short and sweet. Under 30 minutes is the goal. I think today we'll probably be around in the 20-25 minute range. So we'll try to just get everything answered and have some clear expectations for everyone and go from there. So today we're going to talk about internal notifications. So for just kind of going over the agenda, we're going to kind of discuss the pain points, the solutions that are available to you in QuoteWerks, and then we'll actually go through the live demo and then answer any questions that we have. If you do have questions, feel free to post them in that questions box in the GoToMeeting section, and I'll be sure to answer those as I can. If I don't answer your question immediately, don't worry, I'll circle back at the end of the session and make sure that I take care of those for you. As always, we have a ton of resources available to you, but feel free to connect with us on social media. We keep that up to date with things that are going on with QuoteWerks, whether it's new features, tips, new videos that become available, any type of content. So just make sure you're following us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube for any new videos, and Twitter and those types of things. Okay, so kind of getting into the pain points today, we're talking about like when you have sent a quote or proposal to your customer, and it's kind of like, okay, that's great, but how do you notify your team within each step of the process? So maybe it has to go from the outside sales rep to the inside sales rep, and then to accounting, and then to a purchasing department, or the sales manager has to be notified for certain items, or maybe a VP or someone else outside, maybe an onboarding specialist. So how are you handling that currently? And with QuoteWerks, there's a couple different ways to do it, but really the easiest way is going to be through our activity notification. So this will essentially help team members be notified kind of when it's their turn in the process to start working on something. And so instead of having to worry about those handoffs and not having proper follow-up, you'll actually have these automatic activity notifications, reminders, kind of setting everything up for you to make things a little smoother, a little easier. So what I mean by that is by providing these activity notifications through Quote Valet, you can actually set up notifications for each user or groups in your QuoteWerks installation. And this way, your users inside of QuoteWerks will actually receive notifications for their part of the process. So you can actually set it up when there's like a first view, when the customer's accepted it, maybe the customer posted a comment, maybe the customer said they were going to pay a specific way, so they need an invoice, so accounting needs to get involved. There's a variety of different activity notifications that are available, and you can set up the specific user and the specific group that needs to respond to each of those notifications. So we'll show you how to set those up in QuoteWerks here in just a moment. Another solution to this is using the reminders feature. So this is great for the sales rep, and even for anyone else in the organization that's using Quote Valet, is you can actually set up reminders for yourself or for the client if a document hasn't been viewed in a specific amount of days, if it has been viewed but it hasn't been accepted, or if it's about to expire. You can actually set these reminder options for the different sessions. We'll show you how to set the defaults, but these can also change on a per quote basis. So if you have a client where you don't want to send any reminders to, you can do that. Or if you just want them set into the client, you can do that. And that can just help kind of smooth things out during the process. So that's one of the really easy ways to kind of set that up and to just make sure things aren't being missed when you're moving through that process. And then finally, one of the other ways that you can really take advantage of the notifications is by setting the prepared by field in QuoteWerks. So it essentially allows you like a second sales rep on the document. So this is really useful because this user will receive all those notifications that the typical sales rep would receive. So it's basically like they're the sales rep as well. They'll just receive those notifications. This is extremely useful if you have a rep that maybe is going to go on vacation for the next couple of weeks, so you want to make sure that someone's following up with all their quotes. If you have, maybe just your internal process is going to be that your reps or your prepared by person is going to be creating the quotes on behalf of reps. They can set themselves as the prepared by. You can set defaults by using templates. So you have the sales rep set for each of those templates. So you say, well, oh, when I need to create a quote for, Joe Sales, I'm already set as a prepared by because I'm loading from this template, and then build the quote out for them so you don't have to remember to set it. It can be a per quote basis. So there's a lot of flexibility with using that functionality, but we'll make sure to cover that today. So as far as the activity notifications in Quote Valet, we have quite a few here. So you can see there's all of these email activity notifications. So essentially every step in the process when a document's been uploaded to Quote Valet and you're looking to close the deal, you can receive email notifications for these, and you can set up other users in your installation to receive notifications for specific ones. So we'll show you some examples that are commonly used or that we commonly see with a lot of companies, and then you can kind of see which ones might be useful to you and which ones you would want to set up in your installation for QuoteWerks. So for our demo, we're going to go through kind of the main 4 steps here, which is basically how to set up those activity notifications, how you can set up the activity reminders. You can also limit notifications from a specific IP address, so you make sure you don't have your internal users clicking on things and you're getting notifications for those. And then also how to set that prepared by field as well. As always, we have a ton of resources available on the website. So if you do have questions or need assistance, feel free to give us a call, send us an email. We're always happy to help. If you like to kind of research and read about possible features and instructions that could be helpful for you, we have a ton of help documentation. We have live and recorded webinars. We have videos. So we have a ton of stuff available to you to kind of help you get through and answer any questions you might have. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to QuoteWerks here. So we're just gonna log in, get switched over here. Okay, so we're in QuoteWerks. So the first thing we want to talk about are those activity notifications, because that's kind of step 1 for this. So when you're using Quote Valet as a sales rep, you know that you receive those email notifications when a client views a quote for the first time, if they post a comment, if they accept it, if they make payment, all of that. You'll receive those email notifications. You see those all the time. But now you're able to set up other users in your office or in QuoteWerks that can also receive those notifications too, so that they know there's the next step for them. There's something involved for them to get involved in. So to access this information, we're going to click on Tools, Options, and then you're going to click on the Quote Valet tab. And then we're simply going to click on Quote Valet Setup. One thing you'll want to check when this window opens here is if you are going to be using Quote Valet for peer reviews and approval, so if you're going to be setting up activity notifications for other users for those as well, you'll want to make sure you have these 2 checkbox set. Otherwise, you won't be able to use Quote Valet for peer reviews and approval requests, and then those notifications won't go out through Quote Valet. So you just want to make sure you have those checked if you're going to plan on using that. So now that we're in the Quote Valet setup, if you click on the Activity Notifications tab, you'll see you have the activity notification. It's essentially a 3-step process. You choose which activity. So for instance, a good one that I always liked are comments posted by client. So let's see, we have one in here. So we have comment posted by customer, and then where the document is owned by a certain group. So maybe when your outside sales team is owned, when a document is owned by your outside sales team and there's an activity posted by a comment, you can see here we've set it up where our inside sales, our sales manager, and then a specific email address are all set up to receive these notifications. This way, if a comment is posted by a customer, it's going to see multiple reps, multiple employees in your organization are going to get eyes on it so that they know that the customer has commented, they have posted a comment, and then you'll be able to make sure that someone responds to it. So if you want to add a user or group to this list, you'll see here you have an option to CC a selected user or group, or you can BCC. Either one, it's going to be fine. These are going to be internal emails, so it doesn't really matter which one you choose, but we give you the option for both. So the first thing you can do if you wanted to select a group. So let's say we wanted our inside sales team to automatically be notified whenever a document is created by our outside sales team and a customer posts a comment, then we simply select from that dropdown the inside sales. Or if you wanted to select like the sales managers group, you could do that. If you wanted to do both like I have here, you can see that. And that means that anyone that's in this group will receive an email when a customer posts a comment on a QuoteValet document. If you want to do a specific email address, you can do that as well. Maybe there's someone who you want notified specifically in your organization. You can select them from the drop-down list, and this will show you all of your users in QuoteWerks. Or if you just want to put in their email address, you can do that as well. So if I wanted to say, hey, I want this to go sales@quoteworks.com and hit enter, I can type that in, and then you can manually enter email addresses as well. So you have a lot of flexibility for setting this up. And the BCC list works the exact same way, where you would choose a user or a group or enter an email address and add them. If you want to remove any group or user, simply highlight it and then click on the little remove CC list icon here, and that'll remove them from the list. So that's a pretty popular one. Another one that we see oftentimes is the expired quote view. So if you send out a quote to a customer and they come back to you, maybe a couple months later, you can have it automatically send that email notification to somebody else. So we automatically send it to the sales rep of this document, but we also might want to send it to somebody else. So again, maybe we have our outside sales team, when they create quotes and it's expired viewed, we also want our sales managers to be aware so that they make sure that someone's following up on that, or they can assign it to the proper internal employees. So you can choose who's going to be notified for those types of activities. And you can actually set those here. And again, same thing, you can choose which users and which email addresses actually are specified for those types of notifications. Another one that's really great to have is the quote accepted. Depending on your process, you might want to set this up multiple times. And what I mean by that is basically anytime a document is accepted by any group or any user. So for instance, when it's outside sales, we might want our accounting to know, because they're going to have to send an invoice. So what I could do is say accounting@quoteworks.com and add them in here. And then also if it's sales managers, actually sales managers aren't creating quotes, inside sales, same thing, accounting@quoteworks.com. We can add them in there. And that way, when the quote is accepted, it'll automatically email the accounting team the quote acceptance email. So that'll give them the quote number and the company name, all that information, and then they can go into QuoteWorks and create the invoice, or they can go into QuickBooks or whatever accounting system they're using, create the invoice if they need to create an invoice to receive payment from the customer. Similarly, you can also do one for payment received. So if you're receiving payments through QuoteValet, whether it's credit card or ACH or anything like that, you can set it up where, if a quote is made, if a payment is made on a quote and it's owned by an inside sales rep, we could then say when our purchasing at QuoteWorks is notified, so that they can go create the PO and start the process and move that customer forward. Or maybe that's the point where your onboarding team gets involved. You could have it email, the person that's running your onboarding team, or someone on your support department, or whoever it's going to be. You can specify. So you can go through these activities, see what's kind of relevant to your company, and actually select the activity and then choose when it's owned by a specific user group, who's going to be notified of that. So it makes it really easy to kind of smooth out that process. So, sometimes a quote is accepted and we're not sure who should take ownership next. Is it the sales rep's responsibility to tell, accounting to create the invoice, or should accounting just be running reports looking for these things? Is the sales manager the one supposed to be taking the handoff? You can actually specify here by using these activity notifications who's going to be in charge or who's going to be notified, and can make your internal processes just a little bit smoother that way. And like I said, there's quite a few notifications here. You can see from the list. So you can be notified for first view if you're creating like shopping cart pages, who's going to receive those. when documents are approved or not approved through the management approval process. Same thing if a peer review is posted. If a customer intends to pay a different way than just like credit card, if you're going to do like a net 30 or net 60 as one of your payment options on there, you can have it send an email automatically to accounting that they're going to pay that way so that they can send an invoice or set up their terms, whatever that's going to be. So just a variety of different ways that you can set up and use these notifications internally. Okay, so in addition to these activity notifications that you can set up in Quote Valet, we also have the reminder options, which are right here, and these are going to be the defaults. On these defaults, you can actually choose how these auto reminder emails are going to be sent and when they're going to be sent to either the sales rep or the sales rep and the client or just the client. So these are great to use internally. I personally don't like to send the recipient reminders. I like to send the sales rep reminders because I want them to come to me instead. And then that gives me a reason to follow up with my client without having to run a report or look for existing quotes or anything like that. I'll just get these automatic notifications. Especially these two, these are great. So if you've sent a quote, and I've said it right now, where if a document hasn't been viewed by the client within 4 days, I'll get an email notification. Maybe I want to shorten that to just 2 days. Then that gives me a reason to follow up and say, hey, did you view the quote? Which I know they didn't because I got the email, but it at least gives you a reason to kind of touch base with them. Same thing when the document's about to expire. It can give you a little bit notice here, and you can see you have days 1 through 7, and then also 14. So maybe a week before it's expiring, I'd want it to send me an email and say, hey, this quote's going to expire in 7 days. Again, I can follow up with the client, so it just gives me another reason to do that as well. And you can set these up for the recipients as well of the quotes, or just the sales rep, or both. And same thing if the quote has been accepted but not paid. If I want to set a reminder for that as well, you can have that ping you so that you remember to follow up with the client to receive payment, to collect payment, and get things kind of started there. These are the default settings. So when you set the reminder options here, whatever you set here is going to be set by default for your quotes and proposals moving forward. However, you can adjust these when you upload it to Quote Valet. You'll actually be prompted, there's a button where you can change those selections. So if you wanted to leave these all blank, where you said, I want to use that feature, but I don't want it to be required, then you would just leave this unchecked. And then when you upload to Quote Valet on the Quote Valet window, you'll have the option of setting those reminders. And I'll show you where that is here in just a second. Additionally, you could go the other way where you do set defaults, and then someone could go into their reminder options for a specific quote and uncheck those or change the settings. So if you want to set defaults, this is where you can do it. It can also be changed on a document by document basis as well. Okay, so once you've made all your changes, we'll go ahead and we'll close out of here and we'll save our changes, clicking OK. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the prepared by field. And actually, we'll upload it to Quote Valet so you can see where those reminder options button is. So if you wanted to use that functionality, if we upload our quote to Quote Valet here, you'll see on this upload to Quote Valet quote window, the reminder options button. And that'll just, like I said, it's going to use the default. So right here, so it'll say reminder options, and it opens up that same window. So you can choose what you want set, and so it's using my defaults. But if I wanted it just for this particular document, just the sales rep, I could click OK and then upload it, and those would be the changes just for this document. Otherwise, it's always going to default to those default settings you have. So that's where that option is to change it. And then, like I said, the last step I want to talk about was using the prepared by field. So a lot of times, companies have other users prepare quotes on someone's behalf. Especially the outside sales reps, they're in meetings or on calls all day. When they need quotes created, you might have someone who that's their job, is to help create quotes and proposals for other users, or that might be their full-time job. That's not uncommon either. So what the prepared by field does is allow you to also receive those notifications on that document from Quote Valet, just as if you were the sales rep. So the sales rep, this is the contact information that's going to be on the document for the customer. So that's what they're going to see. But the prepared by field would allow you to receive those notifications just like the sales rep also. So it makes it really easy for you to stay on top of it. So if you have a smaller organization, this might be a really good way to make sure that nothing gets left behind, is that whoever is creating the quote, they're left as the prepared by, and then you just set the sales rep as whoever the sales rep is going to be. So for instance, as the administrator, this is his quote, but since I'm creating it for him, I want to set myself as the prepared by. And you can see there's just a drop down where you select from an existing list in QuoteWorks of your users, and they'll be able to receive those notifications automatically. So that's the one nice thing about the prepared by. There's no setup involved for receiving notifications when you use this field. It's automatic. So you'll receive the same email notifications, which are all of them, that the sales rep receives when you're set as the prepared by. And one other thing that you can use for the prepared by are document templates. So if you have quite a few sales reps that you're creating quotes for, and you don't want to have to remember to go in and set the sales rep each time and set the prepared by as yourself or another user, you can create document templates for those sales reps as well. You could call it, creating, say, new quote for Joe Sales, and you create a template where you already have Joe Sales set as a sales rep and the prepared by you, or new new quote for John, or new quote for Katie, or new quote for Kyle. You can create those templates so that the correct prepared by and the correct sales rep are already set, and then you just build the quote and send it out, and you don't have to worry about going through and remembering to set these. So that's a nice little shortcut as well for kind of setting up that information in QuoteWorks to make sure that you're getting the activity notifications automatically through Quote Valet. Okay, I think that is most of what we wanted to cover today. Like I said, pretty short and sweet, but that's something that you can start adding to your installation immediately. For those of you, if anyone here doesn't have Quote Valet, if you want a trial of it so you can see how those things work, just let us know. We'd be happy to set it up for you. You can post in the questions box if you want that you're interested, and I can set that up for you, or just feel free to reach out to us, give us a call, or send us an email, and we can set that up. There are a few questions that came in, so I'm going to go ahead and start to address those. So for those of you that would like to hear the answers to your questions, just hang tight. For those of you that don't have any questions, if you do have questions later on, again, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. Thank you for everyone for attending. For those of you that have questions, just hang tight for a few minutes so we can go over those.